Nobody could draw that figure. Nobody. The shapes are so... Oh, God. Can't even look at it. That's Jack Kirby's action. Not violence, action. Big difference. Nowadays it's violence. When Jack did it, it was action. So I didn't really like the stories by Jack Kirby because they were monsters. And then one day, and this happened... because I got this thing second hand or something, you know, it wasn't like new on the stands. I was in art school, or just entered art school. I was beginning to see a whole new world of comprehension and perception opening before me. And then I came across The Double Life of Private Strong. And everything inside was beautiful. It was a real Class A comic book. It looked like a comic book. It was colored like a comic book. It was quite well colored for once, you know. On the cover was this film strip of this character running away from me, or running sort of sideways or something like that, leaping, dropping, rolling, getting up and running again. This was one of the most remarkable pieces of comic book art I'd ever seen at that time. And it was so fluid, so beautiful, so easily done. I'm probably remembering it far better than it was, you know how things go. But it impressed me deeply, profoundly, I would say profoundly. Somewhere along the line with the FF, Jack broke all the boundaries. You know, he just exploded. His imagination took off. What a vehicle the FF was for him, you know, and he created the FF, you know. And anybody who thinks otherwise doesn't understand Jack Kirby, because you think Stan Lee could have created the FF? No. Stan was the instigator, and frankly, if Jack had written it, it would have been a bust. Stan was a terrific scripter. They were a great combination, Lennon and McCartney, you know. But Jack was the mind behind everything. Jack was the John Lennon. Paul was the guy who made it smooth. You probably heard this from other people, actually, because it's always a surprise when you meet Jack Kirby. I met him in '68. He was still living in New York, on Long Island. And I was astonished that he wasn't 35 feet tall. That's the biggest thing, you know. I saw this, I mean, I knew what he looked like because he'd done a cartoon of himself, you know, for that, some Marvel thing, you know. And he always had a cigar, classic stuff, you know. He was James Cagney, basically. In my youthful mind, I saw him as a cross between Galactus and Reed Richards, with some Ben Grimm in his voice, in his locution. But anyway, he was the sweetest guy you could ever meet. You know, he was the star of comics, hands down, because he took his abstract thoughts, and I'm using the word correctly, there is an abstract thought, turning it into energy, and he transferred it to paper.